you've had this freedom as this independent creator. You've been able to like really follow your own impulses. But has it been frustrating? It's all under these weird social media rules
which
that
are constantly changing.
Constantly changing. When was the golden era for you?
You know what? There are eras that I miss. Just like any artist, you know, your career changes over time into different entities of itself. I would say when there's nothing that beats when I first blew it, like that feeling of like it worked. Because I'd made videos for 10 years at that point. I was working just office jobs, customer service jobs, just, you know, and YouTube was the hobby. It was always like, if I don't get famous, whatever. I love making sketches because I'm a filmmaker at heart. And so I would make these like, you know, just short, like there were sketches like Lonely Island or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that something that you saw early on? Because we're again same age. Lonely Island I saw in high school.
I wasn't necessarily like I love what they do, but if we're going to talk about inspiration, I love anything mockumentary, Arrested Development, The Office, Parks and Rec. But I also love John Waters. There was never a marriage between queer absurdity and like mockumentary, fun, upbeat. Like I got the cadence of the comedy these days. Like I get what sells on TV, the rhythm of like what makes a joke land on TV. There was just nothing that was queer coded or
Oscar.
Or I know that was the gayest person we had on TV to this date. I feel
it is the straightest version of a naked show. Yeah,
and then but also you know I also love the like the shock value of the tasteful shock value of people like Tarantino, Sacha Baron Cohen, and I was like, there's a world where all of these art forms meet, and there's a story, you know, and that's like the vessel in which I tell all of my stories through is this sort of like caffeinated John Waters, you know, sort of, and the mockumentary thing was just a great way of masking a low budget because it's supposed to look that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
Can I ask a question about like kind of queer and like I think about Borat.
Yeah.
And you know, there's this amazing scene in Borat. I loved it because my ex-stepfather,
stepfather one,
who he's very like he's one of these. He's so strict. Grew up in Ohio, but then you put on like Borat or Anthony Jeselnik, funnily enough, and he like loses his goddamn mind.
Yeah, and
it's the scene in Borat in the first one where it's him and his friend, his larger friend. They're naked and they're rolling around and they're you know fully naked. Yeah. And in a way like. One could look through it through the lens of like, oh, this is simply leaning on two guys rolling around. However, they're so committed. It's two men rolling around.
It's layered. That scene is so layered with why it works. And that's what inspired me. When I was in that theater, I don't know if you saw Borat when it like first came out.
I saw it in theaters. It was such a great time.
You couldn't hear half the jokes because the audience was so viscerally loud at just the laughing at the last one. And when that scene came on, it was deafening. I just remember you couldn't hear a single thing on screen. You're just watching these, and you didn't need to. You're watching two grown men, hairy men fight, and the belly and the balls.
And no second of like there's nothing I hate more than in like a sketch comedy when there's a kiss, and it's kind of like a kiss. I'm like, fucking
commit.
Do it.
Commit
or don't do it.
Yeah. Yes.
Just don't do it then. But this was fucking in their dicks slapping each other across the face. They were wrestling each other, and that's all that mattered.
And hearing the way it reached people, like you're right, because people who wouldn't normally laugh at that kind of shock value, they saw something in it, and it's because it was just so the genius of how that the architecture of that whole setup.
I do think that what you're describing is that like the thing that touches people is absolute, full, complete commitment.
Yeah,
and. In whatever venue, in whatever scaffolding. Right. I mean, I saw fucking, which Jim Carrey movie is it? Is it Ace Ventura and Does He Go to Africa? Whatever.
Oh,
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching him, it happened to be on in a green room, no sound. And just watching his performance versus the other actor's performance, I was like, oh yeah, he's not actually doing anything that's like royally unfamiliar. It's just that he is going one fucking 100%, and what we think is 100% is nowhere fucking close to 100%.
Yeah. But I think it's like when it comes to things like, for example, if we're going to talk about Sacha Baron Cohen, I mean, I'm not particularly excited about the next Ali G. The idea of seeing a new Ali G movie with no evolution of the characters sounds terrible. But when it comes to like queer art, when you look at Bruno, do you look at Bruno as like, oh, this is queer art, or do you go, this is parodying, like this is almost exploiting, one would say?
It's queer adjacent. It's a Venn diagram because it is coming from that inherently rebellious queer, like it's punching in the direction that queer art punches. It's punching toward like patriarchy, and it's punching a lot of it toward like hypermasculinity. But it's not like the jokes aren't ones that you would find necessarily in like a John Waters film or like something that Billy Eichner wrote, or it's the there is just
Can you feel when you're going, oh, this is queerness from a straight perspective?
Yeah, it's
The
ally.
straight
It's
gays?
ally queerness, or it's like
Ally queerness,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and it's more apparent when you hear it from the person itself. But also, yeah, if you see their writing, you could tell like, these jokes weren't necessarily written from a queer perspective, but they are punching in our direction with us, and so. I didn't feel like Bruno punched, but it didn't seem like, obviously it leans into gay stereotypes. So do we. Like it's hard to like make fun or do a gay comedy without making fun of like obvious tropes. And which a lot of them are like tropes that are chosen, like the fan or stuff like that. It's not like, oh, they're making fun of like my physicality or something I can't help, or my my oppression of being gay or whatever like that. So I didn't get. I mean, there were people who were offended by it, but ultimately, I just love him punching up at powers that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And so, and that movie did a lot of that. And so, especially with hypermasculinity, which I fucking hate, and I have so much against, how it's even more normalized now than ever.
Downside. You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.